Hey everybody, welcome to Guitarists OK YouTube channel. I'm the host Sean, and today I have a special guest with me. I have Tim Fitzgerald coming from Chicago. How you doing, Tim?
Oh, doing great. Thanks for having me, Sean. This is so fun. Looking forward to it.
Hey Tim, tell everybody what's the best way to get a hold of you and where they can find you.
Okay, so it's Tim Fitzgerald Music everywhere. So that's Instagram, TikTok, the website, the YouTube channel. You might also have to for YouTube might be Wes Montgomery book as well. But Tim Fitzgerald Music should get you to all the places, including the link tree.
All right, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, like for anything, if they're watching the episode and they went back to the
Oh yeah,
beginning, this is a quick way to tell them. Would it be better to Instagram message you or would it
that's
email be
wonderful.
better?
Either is great, and you can email through my website, Tim Fitzgerald Music. It's got a contact page. Shoot it over there, or Instagram's also great.
All right, perfect. All right, Tim. So I found you on Instagram.
Okay, I was wondering.
So listening to like a lot of different jazz guys, and the algorithm starts feeding me something, and I came across your playing, and then I came across your playing, and then I came across your playing. I was just like, oh my goodness, I was hooked with these videos. You got some really good videos out there, and
Oh,
I'm gonna
thank you.
encourage everybody to get on Instagram and check it out. So Tim, what would you describe yourself as first off? Guitarist, musician, arranger, composer.
You know, it's funny. I do. I'm gonna say musician actually, because I do love guitar, of course, but I don't necessarily feel attached to guitar above all others. I mean, it's a great tool for me. I love it. I love it. But and you'll see this too when we're talking. I kind of don't know a ton of gear stuff at times. Like I find something that I know that works well. I like it. I stay with it. I tweak it out. But sometimes I talk to someone who's really guitar heavy and they know everything up and down about like every scale length, every body width. I mean, every pedal. And I actually, I'm like, oh, cool. Let me learn about that. But I don't really know as much as I find something that works and I kind of stick with it. I also like, I'm a person that changes a little slowly because I was playing 14s for a long time. And I was like, oh, I think I should maybe go a little lighter. And like 6 years later, I went to, I went to 13. So it was like a long, and then finally I'm changed again well, I don't want to say I'm getting older, but as I've hit this new age, I went to 12s, and I don't like the sound as much, but I certainly like how they feel. But in any event, these are very, I tend to move basically like a glacier, in terms of changing my gear. I've been playing my
Love it.
guitar since 1991.
That's
And
amazing.
what is it now, 2025? So that's a good little run so far.
So Tim, let's since you just mentioned 1991, let's back up here in the time frame.
Sure.
And where were you raised? In what area? And what type of family were you raised in? Was it a musical family? And
It's a nice question. Yeah, it's a really small family. It's pretty much it was just me, my mom, and my grandmother. And my grandmother was indeed a piano teacher. Yeah, she went to American Conservatory here in Chicago, which doesn't exist anymore, but that's where she studied classical music, and it was really the old school. It's like she hung. I still have it here. Her piano teacher shingle that she literally hung in the front window of the house. This is in Oak Park, Illinois, which is adjacent to Chicago, just on the west of it. Shares a border, and yeah, but I didn't play piano. I didn't. It's funny. I'm a super late starter, and this is like really late. Like I thought when I got to my teenage years, I loved as you did, and so many of your listeners and our friends love music so much. It's the thing that reverberates with me the most, or along with friendship and love. This is all tied together. But I mean, it's like we've always really loved music, and I've listened so much, but I wasn't playing. I thought I missed the boat. Actually, it made me quite melancholy when I was a teenager. It's like, oh, I wish I could do that. Well, okay, what I really have to do is put that aside and do other things. Like, I was actually studying for my first one away to college. I was studying physics and studying English, and I'm not really. I don't love science, but I'm a good writer. Maybe I can be a science writer. That's how I thought I could kind of. But then so it really wasn't until about college age that I was like, no, I have to do this. I have to get deep in here, and left college and came back to Chicago and started. I was waiting tables and starting to figure out how to play this instrument, figure out what to do.
So when you were growing up, what type of music was in the background of your life?
Oh,
Was
it's
it
so
like
interesting.
jazz, rock, pop, radio?
Y-
What was going on?
yeah, it was. Well, it's funny. My mom had a well, first of all, with my grandmother, she loved what you might expect, like Liberace, and we would, and then in the '70s they had all these variety shows. I don't know if you remember these, where it was whether it's Donnie Marie or Sha Na Na and all these things, and we just she loved those. Flash forward just for a second, I actually did get to play with Bowser from Sha Na Na, and if my
What?
if
You
my
have a video
grandmother had
clip?
been
Oh my
alive,
gosh,
that
dude.
would have been the pinnacle,
Oh my
the
gosh.
absolute pinnacle of it. She was like, "You've made it." I did like,
Who would have
and
thought
he's
that'd
actually,
be the stamp?
yeah, that's it, done. You can quit. He was actually a super cool guy, actually, and
Cool.
a really fun guy to work behind. Um, but then my mom loved it broadly. I'm going to say in the category of Black American music, so which included at the time, of course, soul, Marvin Gaye. But it also included disco, also included, and then it did include jazz, pop jazz. But it's like all there was a mix of all this music that is Earth, Wind, and Fire, music that that's just in my guts now so much. I love it so much. That's actually a big part for me of wanting to play music, at least initially, and it continues, was I had to somehow get closer to the music. Like it wasn't like I loved it. I was like swimming in it, it's surrounding me. I got to get closer. And that was the playing. And then once I started to play more serious, it's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do just because now I can get closer to this thing that I've been listening to for so long and loving.
So you grew up during like the MTV era, like I did, right?
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
you actually
absolutely.
watch MTV, or was it
I
just not
did.
as interesting to you? You did.
No, I
Okay.
did.
All
Well, and
right.
that's so okay. So let's talk ZZ Top for a second, because we know when Eliminator came out, that was huge, and it wasn't just yes, exactly, the hand gestures. The women were on the
Girls, yeah, the
yes, the
guitars, the
girls,
cars.
and the distorted guitars. And so I remember I loved it. I would wait for those videos to come on. And my cousin, I'm an only child, but my cousin, 7 years older, so he's a big brother to me. And he was so smart about this because I was listening to listening to ZZ Top, and he's like, "Oh, you like Eliminator? Great. Hey, let's do something. Let's see where ZZ Top came. Like, let's see early ZZ Top. Look, okay." So it's like Tres Hombres or with Lagrange, and it was like, okay, oh, this is so it was no keyboards, no that synth, which is great too, but it was like, oh, that's raw, and I loved it. I became obsessed with that era of ZZ Top. And then my cousin, brilliant, really smart, he's like, okay, well, where did ZZ Top come from? And so he brought me some Albert King records. Okay, where did Albert King come from?
Uh-oh.
And so then I started, and my cousin was a jazz writer with some ridiculous record collection, like 30,000 records or something like that.
Oh
And
my.
so then I'd go over, then, okay, well, where did Albert King come from? Oh, we started listening to, Scrapper Blackwell and Son House. And it was just like all the country blues, all the Delta blues, Eastern Seaboard blues. And I was obsessed. And that's what I was listening to the most through my teenage years.
Wow.
He
I have to
also
admit,
was
that's probably
smart.
not a norm. I grew up in the same era. I didn't know too many guys listening to that.
That was kind of it was a thing. And then he snuck in. He would sneak in some jazz in there. I remember like he snuck in Kind of Blue, Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. He snuck in Ornette Coleman's The Shape of Jazz to Come. And I'd be like, oh, what's this? Because as I would mix it up, I'd be listening to Fergie Lewis or something. Oh, let me listen to some Ornette. And boy, he did a great job of sending me down that path. And so that's really where, and that's the music I really just wanted to get close to in any way, shape, or form. And it was more the blues is with me always big, but it was certainly the freedom of the jazz and that those textures and those personalities coming through, those forms of expression that really drew me in further.
It's incredible because music's so interesting in so many levels. Like if you just hear a song you haven't heard in 30 years,
Yeah.
like an 80s song from 40 years
Yeah.
ago, and all of a sudden I'm
Yes.
singing along to it, or
Oh God.
I can hum the melody to it. I'm like, how do I even know this? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
so what you're saying though makes me think about that because you were getting that down in you. You were
That's
getting
it.
them
I
kind of
mean,
grooves in you. You were getting that
yeah.
vibe kind of thing, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, did you get any lessons at all before college? Did you have any type of, besides your grandma being around or anything?
Yeah,
Just
I
anything?
took some, I took a little bit. I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
find, and again, it's funny how these little things can steer you. And there are all these little, we can call them coincidences or serendipities, and which we'll eventually get to my friend and mentor, Rodney Jones. There are a lot of serendipities with him. But long before Rodney, even, I did go over, you know how there are all these little guitar stores in the country that opened up during the Beatles invasion or the British invasion. And I went to one of those stores in Oak Park thinking that I was going to learn rock. And he actually just, we started doing some standards, actually, even as a little, as a young kid, like whatever I was, 12 or 13, we're playing like, Sweet Georgia Brown and things like that. I was playing it terribly. I had no idea what was going on. I did not develop very far, but that was there. And then I had to put that down for, I've got to do my more, serious academics and then what, but so I did have some lessons back then with that, it's basically this bar chording standards with a chunk, I can't imagine how, I don't want to say it sounded bad, but I don't think it sounded good. So, that's okay. And so but it was really after college where the studies got more, or
All right, so you're in
college became.
college at this point right now, and what happened? Like, where was the actual shift? You probably had some type of moment where you said to yourself or something, realized something in your heart, and you said, I think I really need to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah,
What was
there
that?
were a few I can remember, like even before like the introduction to the lab, day one, and all the other kids who were in this lab and I mean, physics is not obviously, but not about microscopes per se, but they were like, we're in the lab and this is the microscope and kids were really excited. They're like, my fellow science majors were like, oh my God, this lab is amazing. I'm like, not doing it for me. I don't really, I mean, I respect it, but I don't care. So that was one moment where it's like, okay, I should be doing something else. And yeah, then finally just the decision to come back and
So so where did this other fellow come in? Was it after college then? This guy you're talking
Rodney.
about? Yeah.
So yes, so it was after college. Strangely, it was because I did at this little music school on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I went through their program, and but there were two teachers that I found, or well, that found me, or I found them. I don't know quite how that goes. And that was it was maybe slightly concurrent with maybe the end of the program, but that's where the real learning happened. And those two people were Rodney Jones and Barry Harris, and each one radically changed my life in a really different way. And Rodney in a very personal one-on-one way, and with Barry it was his class. And and it's funny about all these little serendipities though, because once so I went to see Rodney. I remember on the first day, because I wasn't a strong player, yet. I was so green. I hadn't played in the bands through, from 8 years old to 18 and done all that work. I hadn't done that yet. And I went to him and the first thing I said, oh, thanks for seeing me. And he said to me, he said, no problem. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. And I'm like, so my little brain, I was like, and of course, and Rodney's a very mystical guy with a lot of really great things to share broadly beyond just music, or I shouldn't say just music, but music is a part of this bigger picture for all of us. And for him, he's very good at teaching and guiding in that way, and the best. And so I was ready, and I realized later all these little serendipities. I had actually, when I was younger, I had gone, Maceo Parker, who is James Brown's alto saxophonist. And they had a band called the JBs, which was without James Brown, but Maceo and Fred Breslin on trombone and Pee Wee Ellis. And I loved this band. I loved those records, and I went to hear them. Well, I had no idea, but Rodney was on those records and in the band. So I was going to hear him without knowing who he was, for example. And even this whole, and I know we'll talk about this a lot with Wes Montgomery, but in particular, there's the Wes Montgomery video, which is so important to me, and I'd love to talk about that. But just a quick aside about that is Rodney's the one who really opened up how to access Wes for me. And Turns out, and we were talking about this video, and literally just a couple years ago, he told me, he's like, "Oh, that video, yeah," because he knows about the video, the book I did on it, the years I spent, everything. He's like, "Yeah, he had heard about that video, and when he was on tour in England, or I think he was with Dizzy, I'm not sure who he was with, but he was in England, and he went to the BBC studio to find out about this because he heard it existed, and he went, and he helped somehow facilitate it with Wes's estate and Wes's. It's like, wait,
That's
you
amazing.
really, the guy who helped me later, like all these little
Yes.
threads. It's like, and I really like those, and
That's
whether they're
amazing.
coincidences or serendipity, it's meant to be or not. I don't know, but I certainly feel like it meant to be, and I love just reflecting on it and
So what
recognizing.
type of time frame was this? Like late 80s, 90s? What are you talking?
Well, let's see. For him, for me, it was the '90s. I think I studied with him starting in '94, something about that, '94, '95. And that video, though, so I first saw that video when I was still in Chicago. So it'd be in the late '80s, and it was
Okay.
a video just on VHS, and it was a collection. We all passed it around, right? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And he put it on. I had heard Wes play, and I loved the records. I loved it, but I'd never seen any video of him, of course, because at the time there was only a 35-minute video. That's it.
Right.
Now there are a couple more concerts, so they're like 2 DVDs worth. But at the time, that was just these 35 minutes on
What was
divided
that
into
video called, Tim?
it was Legends of Jazz Guitar Volumes
Yep.
1 and 2.
Yes.
You know it.
I
And of
know
course, they
it. I
took the
remember
Wes
it.
and put half on one and half on the other, so you had to buy both if you wanted Wes. And I put it in, and all of a sudden, it's just like the smile, the warmth, and he's playing just the baddest stuff you've ever heard. It's amazing. It's swinging, and he's like effortless, and he plays something really amazing. Looks over at Harold Mabern on piano. I was like, "Oh, you hear that?" Like that was it for me. That vibe, the flowing, the relaxed state, the warmth, the engagement. I'm like, yeah, well, that's
hooked.
it. This is what. And I remember trying to like rewind the tape. It goes back 7 seconds. It's like he goes and you're like, "What is that?" It goes back for like trying to figure it out. Rewind
Young
the tape.
listeners are lost right now. They're like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, what does rewind mean? And about quite a while after that, in the early 2000s, I remember talking with someone, and I was like, "Oh man, what a shame that isn't transcribed, because I would learn so much from it. What a shame!" And I was like, "Oh, wait a second, why don't I transcribe it?" And so sometimes the best ideas come out of necessity. They talk about necessity being the mother of invention, and it's like, oh yeah, here's the thing that I want to see. I want to see this transcribed, just purely to learn from. I want to learn. And so like, okay, so and so I did it, and so that became this book the transcription book of that concert in particular, and I learned so much from that process. It came to be, and it's been really nice just opening. I don't want to say opening doors, but opening connections. The people that have reached out to me in the years since this book, because the book and then the book became a record, and it became a lot of teaching and other things. The people that I've connected with that I never would have connected with, it's really beautiful. I don't know if there's something about just Wes's music that's so warm and it kind of brings out, or it's just luck or serendipity, as you say. I don't know, but I have met so many great folks through this whole. I think it wouldn't have even happened necessarily if I didn't.
Yeah,
if,
the
if
whole
we're
stream
able
of
to.
everything. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
very.
it. What a great story. And the fact that you didn't like come up as some prodigy at like 5 and 6 years old and
Oh
10
God,
and
no,
the fact that
no.
you thought you missed the boat, but
I
yet
sure
here
did.
we are,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm just amazed at the videos. I mean, how you're
Oh,
playing
thank
it.
you.
It's just so good.
Oh man.
And like you said, I really think that spirit of like enjoyment
Yeah.
of it's a lot of work, but yet you're also enjoying it. It comes across in your playing, and
Oh,
especially
that's
your
good
live
to
videos.
hear.
I love it.
Yeah, that's.
Now, what was the
So,
book you have a book, I believe, out? I remember looking on
yes,
Amazon.
that's
So talk about
so.
that for a second.
So the video that Wes played on, it was from a TV show in London called Jazz 625. And so that was the concert. And so what I named my book 625 Alive, the Wes Montgomery BBC performance transcript. So a little play on the 625, which I found out later had to do with something about the aspect ratio, or the ratio of broadcasting, like the refresh rate or something. That's how they picked 625. It's not like a 251 or a 3625. That's nothing like that. It had to do with, yeah, refresh rate or something. Forgive me, I don't know the
So it
technical.
had to
But
do with some type of technical thing,
yes,
not
yes,
a
that's what they
music
call it.
theory.
That's a great series. Rollins is on. I mean, a lot of so many of our heroes. But the West, yeah, and then West played for those minutes. He gave us very short interview in between songs in that one. But
So how long did that book take you then?
well, it was a couple of years. I spent a couple of years with 35 minutes of film, and every time, because I was learning the notation software. I was learning everything at the same time. Doing it all, um, and the thing is, I would finish and I would go back and to the beginning, and I was a better transcriber now because I had done so I was like, let's say 3 months, and okay, I'm better than I was 3 months, and so I would go through and rewrite it, and there'd be improvements, and I'd go through it again, and I'm a little better. So my ears were developing, and of course, with transcription, there's also a lot of interpretation.
Right.
Some things is like, should I write it like this? Should I write it like this? There's a lot of judgment calls. And so I just kept writing and rewriting. And finally, I finally had to say, you know what, this is good. This is good.
Did you just set
It's
yourself
going
a
out.
deadline and say, okay, like, I gotta
Yeah.
wrap this up. Like, this is
Yeah,
good.
the power of deadlines, right? Because things
Yeah.
can just extend forever.
So what do you think was your greatest learning experience about writing that book?
I'm gonna give you a few actually, because there were really some powerful things that happened for me writing that. On the technical side, there were some real surprises for me because one of the things is there are some earlier books on West that were transcriptions off the records, and I remember, of course, I bought those when I was younger, and I would try and play it, and it didn't quite feel right. They would have like a weird stretch voicing or something uncomfortable, and it's like, this doesn't sound like West. What's wrong? And the nice thing about having the video is that there's no, for vast majority of it, there's no debate, right? It's like he is playing, oh, is he playing this D natural here, which fingers? No, he's playing it on this string with this finger. You know what I mean? It's a video. It's pretty hard. So I was able to kind of get some answers about how he was fingering, his physical approach to the guitar. And this is a big subject, because I'm sure your listeners know, but in case any of your listeners don't know, there are many ways to play the same thing on guitar. It's in some ways it's a redundant instrument, and but your choices will really affect the phrasing. And so we've got people who play with stretch voicing and stretch fingers and really use the pinky and be very quote unquote efficient. And Wes would be less efficient, but it's perfect phrasing for him. And so so we know that Wes famously didn't use his pinky very much. Even the ring finger is a little questionable at times. I mean, he did use it, but there's as Rodney pointed out to me, he uses the two fingers a lot. I was surprised to see him run on the B string sometimes. Like, wow, I would never think that. I also found that he did not seem to be, even though shapes are there, kind of not shape focused, in that sometimes he'd play the exact same phrase down a whole step, but he wouldn't necessarily do the same fingering just down 2 frets. He might do a completely different fingering. So it's like, okay, that's telling me that he's following the sounds versus following the shape. Now, not that there's anything wrong with shapes, because we need shapes. I mean, look, guitar is a hard instrument to master, of course. And if the guitar gods want to send down like manna from heaven, here's some shapes to help you out. Great. I gratefully accept the
Triads,
shapes.
dyads, and inversions and all that stuff. Yeah.
Give me the
Octaves.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, but but clearly he's leading by sound. So I learned a lot about his physical approach and how the physical approach, and this is again, I would love to talk about that, where Rodney was showing me a physical approach with the thumb and the downstrokes. So this was very important to connecting with that. But then there was also just spending so much time with this video. I mentioned this thing about wanting to connect with this music, and somehow just playing it over, like studying it, listening over and over again, studying, writing it down, making those judgment calls, and then also playing it, my connection to the music got deeper. So I think in some ways that's the most important thing, is the connection. But there were also, I learned all these technical things. And then, as I mentioned, all these like human connections that came through. I interviewed Harold Mabern, his piano player, for that tour. And that was I was so lucky to talk to Mabes. And he had so much to say, that guy. I love that guy.
Now, let me ask you, Tim, what do you think most players overlook about Wes's style?
Yeah, I sometimes I wonder if they don't know how in the moment Wes was, how inventive, because certainly, look, I mean, no one is reinventing the wheel necessarily every time they play, but the thing is, you could hear Wes start to play something familiar, but with like a normal player, you start to play something familiar, and the whole line is familiar. And with Wes, he'd start down some path, but then you could just hear him. You could almost hear him following his own ears, and he would zig and zag and change. And I think sometimes people don't realize how in the moment he was. Like, I mean, chorus after chorus of invention, without repeating himself, unless he wanted to repeat himself thematically. But it's just it seemed like this well that he was digging from, drawing from. He could just endless flow of ideas. And sometimes if you just hear something great, you're like, wow, that's great. Yes, that's great. And he could do that for 10 minutes, straight. So I think sometimes that's missed. People like to focus on the octaves. His octaves playing was amazing. Amazing. His chord play, the chord soloing, amazing. These are good things to focus on too. But overall, it's just endless flow of creativity. How does this happen? How can he tap in like that? So inspiring.
Now you're bringing up something interesting. After listening to some other interviews you have out there, you talked about a soli
Oh yeah.
in your band. And I know that I didn't give you this question before.
No, it's great.
But it just brings up something about that. Like talk about creating those solis that you mentioned on what was it, your album? I think it was. Was it for your
Yes.
album? Okay, so
Right.
there's 7 pieces.
That's right. There's seven of us.
Go
And it's
for it.
funny you're
Talk
talking
about the
about.
solis then. Yeah. I know.
Okay, so and you talk about deadlines too. That I was working on that music for that first record. I mean, first arrangement was, boy, I think upwards of 10 years before the record came out. And I don't know if it was ever, one thing that helped me finish is that I actually got a grant here in Chicago. And that grant, they don't play when it comes to a grant. They're like, okay, so whatever calendar year it was, the money that you get from the grant has to be spent and accounted for in that year.
Fiscal year, maybe?
In that fiscal year, exactly. And so if you're like, oh, I'm not quite done, they're like, okay, fine, we'll take the money back. It's like it's use it or lose it. So I'm like, okay, I'll use it. And so that is what it took for me to get over the final hump. Should I redo this arrangement one time and again and again? No, this is good. Do it now. So for your listeners that don't know, our viewers, I should say, so we know about solos, jazz solos, but a soli is a name, SOLI. It's a name for, at least in this context, an arranged solo played together. So what I did is I took so we were talking about Wes has famous octaves and famous chord solos. These are 4-note chord solos on the guitar. And so what I did is I took some of Wes's most famous, most signature chord solos and octave solos, and arranged those for 3 horns and me. So it's 4 notes on the guitar, 3, and that was, and then what we do is we incorporate that into the song. So let's say we're playing on a Wes tune, taking my solo, I'm expressing myself, and then I'm building my solo to, at the end of my solo, we bring in all the horns, then join for solo, just to kind of, and that's, it's really fun to play. And it's kind of amazing that Wes, again, that he improvised these solos they're so good that we can study and break them down and arrange, like literally just something he's just improvising now becomes something that we can study for years and years and years. It took him a lifetime of practicing and playing, and then the actual playing is, a 30-second soli, and we could take that 30-second soli and study it and love it for decades.
I think it was fantastic. I think the concept,
Oh, thank you.
I didn't recognize that concept, although I'm not well schooled in jazz or music or anything of that nature. Just a big listener, and,
That's
and I
great.
know a lot of people who are schooled.
Yeah,
But, so my point is when I heard you talking about it, I was like, this actually makes sense. I'm like, wow.
Good.
Now I'm listening to it as an educated listener, and I'm like, now I'm going to re-listen to this
I
and
get
hear
it.
this. So now I'm like,
No, but
hearing
that's
it. I'm like, this is so
wonderful.
cool. I'm like,
That's
good job,
wonderful.
Tim. Like,
Yeah,
how much
oh,
do I owe
man,
you for
thanks.
that?
No, nothing, but it's great. Thank you. But it's great. I love when that because that's something, I for a long time I had a steady gig here at a club that was more touristy, and people didn't necessarily come in. They didn't really know what was going on. as evidenced by the question that I would get a lot, hey, was that all prearranged or was that just go wild and do whatever you want? I'm like, okay, well, somewhere in between.
Yes.
And so my short answer is, well, we have structures and then we improvise within those structures. But then sometimes that was like, I'd get a glazed over look and I'd be like, okay, it's a tough one. So, and then also on that, I did find out later, it's funny, again, serendipities, Rodney played for me a year ago or something he had recorded where he did something similar, where he took horns playing chord hits. Now, it wasn't Wes's solo, but he was doing something. So I'm like, he didn't play, I didn't know he did that, but, as always, there are great people who have, the things that we do don't exist without the masters who have come before us, whether it's Wes, 2 generations before me or whatever, or Rodney 1 generation before, and just it's dependent. We talk about either standing, if we're lucky enough, we stand side by side, and or elevated by everyone who did it before us.
I love it. It's like some people they say like everybody has all their influences, and some people are better at hiding them than others.
Oh, funny. That's interesting.
Like guitar players, So, but Dave Scher was saying, like he had a whole season in his life where he listened to Joe Bonamassa a lot.
Yeah.
And he just, but he would be like in the other room or something with music going. He would hear all the influences and hear, well, that's Freddie King, that's a Clapton thing, but it was Joe playing, on all these songs. Great. And so let me ask you on that note, how do you balance to Wes's legacy while still finding your own musical voice? Right. And I'm going to frame this with what you just said. Is it within that framework where you have a structure, but yet you're also working within that structure?
I'm going to say yes to that, but broadly speaking, and you may notice this, that I actually don't, when I'm playing, I'm improvising, I don't sound like Wes, and no one can sound like Wes, right?
Thank you.
You could maybe sound like an imitator,
right?
You'll never sound because Wes was the perfect Wes.
Correct.
And really the perfect jazz guitarist, in my opinion, but also perfectly himself. So, and we've talked about this a lot, whether it's with Rodney and also just out and about, because it is playing, inspired by someone else's music, someone so seminally important to the music is Wes Montgomery. But what I really try and take is the inspiration, just talking about that endless flow of ideas that he has. Well, there you go. How to flow. Not necessarily to flow with his ideas, but although I study his ideas, because his ideas, I love them. I love the sound. But I want to be inspired by that into my own ideas, or that are related, and again, yes, all the influences, like all my students, everyone knows Wes's name, knows Rodney's name, knows Barry Harris's name. They know them, we know Mr. George Benson, you know what I mean? It's not just, oh yeah, this is no, we get in there as best we can with deep respect, because not only were they so great, but they were also trailblazing in society. This was a dangerous job. If we're going back to, if we can really go back through the jazz history, this has not been, there's been a lot of, it was a dangerous job, having your cabaret card pulled in New York. Your livelihood was threatened. There was violence. There was travel. You were restricted to go here. You could go here. There was so much these guys went through and made this incredible music. I got to honor that at all times. This is not, to get to be close to these creations. And it's so yeah, the influences are important, but it's an inspiration to be my best self. And that's changing a lot. And I probably will change the whole way, but I'm practicing a lot. I'm trying to grow. I'm learning. I'm studying other great guitarists in addition to Wes and Mr. George Benson and Grant Green and my favorites. I'm also studying great young guys now. I'm studying everybody. If I can, everyone.
You listen to Julian Lage at all?
Oh yeah, I just heard him at Holtown School in Chicago. He's great. I really like Dan Wilson from Ohio. Cecil Alexander. I'm not sure where he's living right now. He's from Michigan, I think. He's another great player. Dan, I think, is probably about 40. I don't know how old Cecil is, younger. So, but yeah, yes, Julian Lage, amazing. He's doing. I really appreciate him for doing his own thing.
Sudden, when you jump over to a different type of player, a different type of standard song, how do you approach that? Do you still bring that Wes type thing into it, or do you just mentally do you just switch gears and it's almost like, for example, for somebody listening, they could hear a guy do blues and he's playing blues, and then the same guy jumps into a country band, he's playing a little country, so he puts on a different hat. So within jazz, when you go from a Wes to whoever else,
Right.
how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, one thing is, of course, you always play the gig, serve the music. My short answer before even saying that is actually no. I'm going to be myself in both of those situations because I don't really consider it a Wes tribute per se. A Wes tribute, like it's not like a cover band or a tribute band. What he did is it took music that Wes wrote and that he played at, and then added my arrangements. And I arranged most of the songs on the record, but also had a dear friend of mine, Victor Garcia, arranged a tune and a half. Another Chris Madsen arranged a tune, and then I think that's all. And I did the rest. But it's what we brought to it, and we're being ourselves. And the improvisation is inspired by Wes, but it's still ourselves. And when I go to play standards, it's the same. For me, it's the same approach.
Same approach, but you might change up a little bit of how you're playing, obviously, because it's maybe a different style.
Well, here we go. That's what the gig. Yeah, we always have to serve the music. So it could be, let's say you're just doing a gig with a singer, which I love. I love playing behind singers, and I get, let's say, an 8-bar intro or something behind the singer. That's not the time necessarily to get super abstract, right? It wouldn't serve the music. I need to set it up and set a mood, and bring him or her in a way that they're comfortable and brings out their best. So always play the gig. But yeah, it's definitely not a major shift as if like, hey, now if I do go to do a funk gig or when I used to do weddings, that's a shift. That's another hat. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to play in this dance band. I did a lot of time in dance bands when I was younger, a lot. And it was great for me. I loved it. Talk about catching up. Like a lot of people get all their band experience in their teenage years. I actually did it on the road with some dance bands. Ooh. And that was really important time for me just to develop time to get comfortable on stage, to connect with people, to understand how everything works. But so yes, that's changing hat. But within this, let's just say my creative jazz guitar playing, whether I'm playing with Full House, the Wes band, the Wes inspired band, or whether I'm playing the trio, like the trio that we just went to Asia, that for me it's the same, you know. But yes, we are playing with structures, but what the part of me that's me within the structures is going to be the same in either case. That's such a great question.
And I find when I'm around you guys, like it's really interesting because I don't see guys like you becoming like bipolar and changing your personality per se, but you are, you know, lifting up the music, elevating the music, and playing to the gig. So if it is country, you're going to add the country swing. You're going to do the thing. If it is blues, you might do the flat 5 and get in the blue note. You might, you know, if you are doing a fusion jazz, you might play out a little bit. It's where you land when you come back in that matters, you know, because you're out and you're in, you know. And so it's like you guys just know how to do this stuff. So I find it fascinating as I'm learning guitar. And those of us who are intermediate guitar players at best, let me ask you this then. What's one concept from Wes's style that intermediate players can start applying right away?
Ooh, I love it. So what I would look for as best possible for intermediate player would be looking for small pieces of language. Okay. Something that catches your ear that Wes plays. And you don't have to worry about why, what, just something that you're like, oh, I like that. And long lines are good too for different reasons. But in this case, small, like if it melodic cells, or maybe it's a 1-bar phrase, something that you like or something that you love, because is there any better motivator than love? And so just first, and what I would really recommend is kind of it's a little bit of a 3-tiered thing. Like first, just you find this thing, just figure it out, just play it. Don't worry about, wait a second, how is this? Like what is that? Is that an alter scale? Is that just play it? Because think about it like learning a language, a foreign language. When you're learning, you're not like, hey, wait a second, is that a gerund? Wait a second, is that a direct object? Right. No, it's just a phrase. The little kid's trying it, just trying to get it going. Get used to it. And then once you can play it, okay, now let's kind of figure out what's going on here. Oh, interesting. Okay, he's playing on an F7, and it's this part of the chord. He's playing 3 through 9.
So show us something real quick. You teach. Now you got your guitar there. We'll talk about your guitar in a second, but show us something. Give us a little tidbit here. Like now, for those of you out there, also don't know, Tim also teaches, has master classes that you teach at, and so
Yes.
if somebody's
So
interested, I'll put everything up here on the screen for them.
sure,
They
thanks.
can
Oh, thank
check
you.
it out and maybe get a hold of you if they want to. But show me something, yeah.
So I remember one of the first things I ever transcribed of Wes was on. Can you hear this? Is that right? So it was on an F blues, and Wes played like something like that. So it's, and it might have been in octaves, but I think it was just those five notes. And I was like, and I remember I actually went and figured out the notes, and I was trying to figure out how to play. This is long before school, or Barry Harris or Rodney. And I remember I just had some book on how to play jazz, and it said, on an F7, make sure you do never play the B flat because that's a clash, that's an avoid note. And I was figuring out as Wes played, and he's like, wait a second, Wes is playing a B flat on an F7. And it's like, wait, is Wes wrong or is the book wrong or am I not understanding the book was wrong. Okay, let's just be, because what Wes played is fine, is more than fine. It's right, because Wes he was expressing himself perfectly. So, but that is a perfect example of a small phrase. And so, okay, first you just hear it, work it out. Okay, now what's the context? Well, it's on F7. He's starting on the 7th degree. It's actually lower neighbor to the 7th. It's an arpeggio from the 7th to the 13th. Oh, okay. Okay, so you can start to figure out, okay, so now you've got the sound. Then you start to figure it out. Well, why figure it out? One reason to figure out the context is that then you could help use the context to put it into other places. So it's like, well, wait a second. Okay, so here's my F7. I love the sound of this. Well, doesn't that mean I could play it this? I could play it there. Okay, because it's just 7, 9, 11, 13. Ah, okay, well, wait, how about another key? How about turning it around the other way? Oh, that sounds like Wes. Oh, I got it. So, well, how about let's change it between different chords? How about this one? Whatever, you can start to use it. And so, again, it starts with something small, a small phrase. What is that? 1 and 2 and 3. So, what is that? 3 beats, basically. A 3-beat phrase. And now, all of a sudden, you're putting it into your... First, it's like you're just studying it kind of in isolated, because that's what you need to do. You have to just figure out how to finger it. Then you look at it isolated. Well, how does it relate to what's going on? Context. And then, let me change the context. And now we've changed the context, and then you know what starts to happen? The line starts to change. Oh, not just this. Now we're like, and it's becoming your own language. So one simple line suddenly becomes 2, 3, 4, and it's part of your line building and your own. And what I like about this too is if you're picking something that you love, it is actually, that's why your sound will be different than someone else's, because someone else might pick 20 things like that, and maybe you'll have 5 in common, but 15 different. And this is why you sound different than someone else. This is part of finding your own individual style, is following things that you love.
I love it.
And
I like how you showed like a descending run instead of an ascending run.
Why not?
Like whatever, right? Who cares, right? And then
Flip
you
it
can move
around.
that. You could probably take that same thing, like a motif or something, and move it through the chords. That same thing, and just kind of run it through the chords for
That's
a workout or
fantastic.
something. Yeah, I think
100%.
it's great.
And then what if we substitute chords? What if you do a different chord than expected, and now you use that same motif on the substitute chord? Play, and I love, and just play with it. So that would be my big advice to
I love it.
intermediate. A lot of beginning players, that might be a little intimidating to go to a Wes solo and try and pull something out. But that's okay too. You could also go to, wherever the source is that you're finding the line, whether it's just something that you're playing, whether you're transcribing. I often recommend for my students to transcribe Grant Green in addition to Wes, or even before Wes, because there's sometimes it's it's almost like transcribing Sonny Stitt in next to Bird. The language is incredible. The rhythms are a little more straightforward. Now, Grant Green is not simple by any
Right.
means, but I'm just saying sometimes it's laid out a little more clearly. Just boom, here it is, and there's a great 2/5. All these themes.
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
and also
So
there's so
cool.
many resources on you go it's people posting 251s on the YouTube on the YouTube. I can't believe I just said
You can
that.
slow down YouTube and
Incredible.
watch you do it slow and stuff at a different speed. I know a lot of
Oh my
guys do
God,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember. Okay, true story about slowing things down. So I had a Charlie Parker record, and I was just dying to get inside there. I had no idea what was going on, and I ordered in I can't remember if it was Downbeat magazine or something. They had these like slow downers, and I think this was late enough that it was the Ibanez Rock and Play. Do you remember this? It was like a Walkman that you could slow to 50% or something. And I was so excited. I got this, and I went and I slowed down the Charlie Parker solo, and I figured out like three of them or whatever, like one of the phrases, and I'm like, okay, that makes no sense to me. I have no idea what's going on. It just seemed like a jumble of chromatic notes. I was like, okay, so I got the notes, but now what?
No.
And that remained a mystery to me until Barry Harris. Barry Harris
There,
really
I used to
unlocked.
have a Sony Walkman, like slow it down, the speed, and I thought it changed like the actual pitch or something too when you
Yeah,
slowed
it
it
went.
down.
This one went down an octave. It
Right.
went,
So
yeah. So 50% was. It was like, yeah. It went
you're
from. It was, the line was so low and like, oh, yeah. It was. Yeah, kids have no idea how. And actually, and for me, that was Charlie Parker didn't have a slow downer.
right.
There's some story about Miles Davis sitting outside Bird's Charlie Parker's apartment and he was like transcribing through the door, trying to learn the music. I mean, that's
Crazy.
you got to
That's
respect
crazy.
that.
Now, since we're a guitar channel, you know where I'm going
Yes.
next. Now
Oh, talk about the
you're
X.
holding something right in
Yes,
front of me there, Tim.
my
Have,
baby.
and
So
before you start talking about it, because I want you to talk about it. Do you
yes,
name your instruments? Because
no,
some people
I
do,
have.
some don't.
Yeah,
You're not
I
like
haven't
BB
done
King,
that.
have Lucille. I call this one Sherwood. Sherwood Green.
Sherwood,
Sherwood
I
Green.
like it. Oh, Sherwood Green,
And that one's just my
nice.
Taylor.
Taylor, yeah, that's
So anywho,
beautiful.
as you start here, you don't name your guitars, so you're not one
I
of those guys.
don't,
All right, so
and I
this
don't
is your
have
main
many.
one, probably.
Yeah, I don't have many guitars.
All right, go ahead.
More amps than guitars, strangely enough. I don't know
Cool.
if is that a thing? Amp acquisition
Mm-hmm.
syndrome. I have that a little bit. For guitar, so when I was learning, I loved this record called Undercurrent, which is a duet record with Bill Evans on piano and Jim Hall on guitar. And uh, I just, oh man, it really spoke to me. If you go to listen to it, the first song is a kind of a medium up version of My Funny Valentine. That was kind of a throwaway song for them. It's included in the in the CDs and stuff, but that's not necessarily, maybe skip that song because that was like their warm up song. And they really get in. It's mostly slow, but they get into some really, really deep communication between the piano. It's tender and uh, it's touching very often, but it's also just the connection, the listening to each other is so beautiful. And Jim Hall's tone, I loved his tone. And so I remember asking my cousin, I was like, hey, what kind of guitar is he playing on this? And he's like, oh, that's a 175. Okay, that's what I'm going to get. Like pretty much that was the deal. That was the decision. And I went to a Guitar Center here in Chicago, and there was a 175 on the wall. And I was like, so well, can I play that? And I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. And I just bought it, and that was in 1991. And how many years is this later? It's been like there it
Over
was.
30 years, right? 30
That was the one. Yeah,
Wow.
that was like, yeah, that just. And I made some changes. Like I wanted, of course, it came with the Tune-O-Matic bridge, and I wanted a woodier sound, so I had a wooden bridge made for that. It didn't. This is not the original pick guard. I had to have that made because I was actually studying with Rodney. He was like, "You need to have a pick guard." But overall, and I've changed the strings a bit, as you said, as I was mentioning, and and a bunch of different amps. But I've been,
What's like the woods and stuff? Do you know like all the woods on it and
yeah.
stuff?
Well, this is some sort of composite board, some sort of plywood, and a rosewood neck, and yeah,
I
it's
like
great,
that.
which is nice. It's a dead sounding guitar in general, which is good for feedback. It was my sound was maybe a little too dead, which is why I went for the wooden bridge to brighten it up a little bit. But I think I've found a balance that I like at this point.
So like a three-way switched.
It is, but it might as well just be a one
You
for
just keep it on
for the
neck.
jazz playing. Yeah, I mean, at least for the jazz playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
the dance bands, of course, moving between, I was playing a
Let's see
Strat.
the headstock. It's kind of out of the picture.
Oh, sure. Here we
Cool.
go.
I like it.
Yeah, these are, I replaced the
Nice.
tuners because the originals were just slipping too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really so much into collector's value as I am what it means to me to play. So for me, it was very easy to switch it was not a hard decision. It's like, no, stay in tune better, switch them. Yeah.
And so, like, do you have a particular luthier that's the only person that you like let work
I
on
love,
it
yeah.
right now, or is there
Jeff
somebody
Bench here in
particular?
Chicago. I love Jeff Bench.
Give him a shout out.
Jeff
Yeah.
Bench, love that guy.
All
And
right.
you know what I like about him? There's so much I like about him, but he's a truth teller. He'll even if it makes him. I mean, like he'll be, like, oh, no, that neck's terrible. Like someone comes in, I love this guitar. No, it's a terrible neck.
I
It's like,
love it.
but he'll tell you the truth. He's not going to BS you and be like, oh, that's great, and it's not. So I really appreciate that. And this is not a. He knows this guitar very well. It's not,
Gotcha.
it's line made. It's not this is not a handmade guitar, but he makes it. It's got some sort of vibe that works for me.
It
And I love
does.
it.
I'm
And
telling
he
you.
works.
So let's talk about when you're doing like the jazz music and stuff. Like
Yeah.
what's your rig rundown? Like are you particular about chords that you use or brands like that? What pedals are you using and amps? You ready? Go.
So pretty much I like to plug into the amp and play. So that's the best for me. I've been using Hendrickson amps recently, and I don't know if you know about Hendrickson. They're a small company in Colorado. They don't go through any stores anymore. They're direct to consumer, run by Peter Hendrickson, great guy. And the thing about these amps that blows me away on a practical level, like it's life changing, is they are so light and so strong. So I now, I used to, of course, I've loved my tube amps over the years. I love them. I carried a twin for years until I had spine surgery. And then I had, and then of course, I had my deluxe. I still have them right here. I have a deluxe and a Princeton that I love. But how many times has a tube amp also failed me on a gig? And how heavy are they? And also not enough power for the organ gig. So here comes Hendrickson. The Hendrickson that I play has, I kid you not, a 6-inch speaker and is in total 11 pounds. So I put it in a bag on my shoulder, walk to gigs. There are some difficult load-ins at some of the jazz clubs in Chicago, some other places. Oh, you have to go around here. Okay, I don't care. I've got a shoulder bag. Doesn't matter. Okay, you have to go through the loading dock, and no, just I can go right in the front, right up. Just here it is. It's more the convenience, the ease of which to get to a gig, and I didn't even mention sound. I was talking about it sounds great. It's warm. Its power is 110 or 120 watts. So I've got plenty of headroom for
Is it the
almost
Bud
every gig.
6 or something, or
That's
the
it.
Blue 6?
That's
The
it.
Bud
There's the
6?
Bud and
Yeah.
the Blue. I did the Bud because it's got a second channel. So I've actually run, done a few times a singer has put their mic through the other channel. They're great, and I'm endorsing those now. People can get
incredible.
a small discount using the code that's on my site. It's like 5%, I think.
Cool, because
So that's
it's only 9 by 9 by 9,
That's
like
right.
9 inch by 9 inch by 9 inch, like the cube, and
Ridiculous.
it's 120 watts. I'm
And
looking
I
it
played
up right
last
now.
night
13 pounds or
on.
something.
Yeah, I played an organ trio gig here, and organ trio, jazz organ trio. So a Hammond B3, Leslie, drum kit, and me with my little Hendrickson. How about that? Isn't that great?
Go Tim,
So
go.
big shout out to Hendrickson, I'm happy to always just kind of spread the word of that
So you're
company.
just bringing your guitar, a cord,
Guitar, cable, amp,
yeah, and pick.
pick. Yes. So I use these Fender medium tortoise shells because when I first went to Rodney, I was using my man, same
This is
thing.
this is from I use all different ones. But this is from Mr.
Oh,
Keeley.
nice.
Gave it to me, Mr. Keeley.
I love it. Is it also medium or is it
Yeah,
thicker?
it's medium.
So
I
it was
use
a lot.
these. I use these little Jazz 3 style.
Oh, nice.
Go
Yes, a
ahead.
lot of jazz guys use heavy
Yeah,
ones, but
I use them.
it's a great sound. I remember, but one of the things Rodney taught me was picking that's inspired by Mr. George Benson, what we call sometimes called Benson picking, sometimes called consecutive picking. And one of the features of this style of picking is the scoop of the approach, right? So I don't hit the strings straight on, I scoop. So there's an angle. And in this case, the angle, if you have a very thick pick, it doesn't work. it doesn't work the same way. And that's why I tried doing that. I remember I actually had bought, because again, I don't like to change my gear historically, and I found this pick that I love, and I bought 100 of them or whatever, something ridiculous. And I went to Rodney. He's like, okay, no, throw those out. I was like, Rodney, I just bought 100 of them. He said to me, he said, make a necklace and go buy some, make a necklace and go buy some medium picks, which of course I didn't, and I'm still playing them. The medium is the right size for me for scooping, and I'm sure you can find examples of people who scoop with a bigger pick, but for me, that's the right.
Can you show us a difference between like using your thumb and using that
Sure.
scoop technique? Go ahead.
Absolutely. So the scoop, so check this out. With the scoop, it's going to be, you can hear, let's see, what line should I do? So go back to this F7.
Bring
So-
your camera down just a little bit.
Sure.
Just a tad. Just a tad. There you go. That should be good.
Yep. So the scoop is coming, so not straight on. This would be straight down, and the scoop is a little bit of a twist, so it's actually coming across at an angle. And you can hear already the sound is different. This is like it rounds out the sound a bit. But more importantly than that, or maybe it's equally important, is the way you phrase with it. And there will be some notes that are lost, like little, it's when you listen to Dexter Gordon play on saxophone, on tenor saxophone, you don't necessarily hear every note with the same precision, and that's by design. Some of the notes are swallowed. It's more of a spoken quality, and I find, and this is with, of course, with Rodney's coaching all these years ago, and then studying Mr. George Benson. It's as clean as they want, but there are some swallowed notes, and that scooping, it's in there. It kind of swallows notes. Now the thumb, what I really use the thumb for.
So do you tuck it away like Alan Hines disappears?
Yeah.
You tuck it away. You just tuck it away right there. Okay.
Yes, here it is, and then there it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know Tuck Andrus from Tuck and Patty? He's a fingerstyle mastery was his big video
You're
million
the
years
second
ago.
person I interview that talks about him because Murray Pelver.
You're kidding?
He talked about him too. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I loved Tuck. I got to do a record out at his studio in Palo Alto, and he's a beautiful guy. He's just really cool. And but I'll tell you, he hated when I did this. He did not like that because he wants your fingers to be very free. He's with his fingerstyle master. He's a master of fingerstyle.
Right.
I don't play fingerstyle hardly ever. I do a little bit of bossa nova comping or something.
A hybrid okay, yeah,
I go to the thumb exactly.
Right.
So like I could, if I'm gonna do whatever. Tuck didn't like that I couldn't swing. He didn't like this positioning, but he accepted it. He's such a cool guy. He's like, oh no, if you want, for what I'm doing, it was fine. But if you want to be a true fingerstyle master, don't do what I do. Follow Tuck's advice. I love Tuck. But again, the community of guitarists, boy, I feel it's another thing. I feel so lucky to get to know people and connect with this great stuff. So what I do use the thumb for, so I'm playing with the pick, tuck it away in the fingers. And then the thumb for me, octaves for sure, because and then also the chording. So if so I feel like the thumb, the attack is really nice for chords, and also for chord soloing, for regular comping, also for chord soloing. The thumb and then the octaves, and I use this for the lines pretty much. That's kind of that's what I've landed on now. Sometimes I'll chord with the pick as well, and of course chunking, Freddie Green style, that'll be with the pick. But I do use the thumb a lot. I like, and also like the groove of the thumb.
It's got a warm feeling to it, and then
there's a warm feeling. Yeah, it's not just the tone. There's a little bit of a pocket that can be achieved with the thumb that it's kind of it feels a little bit unique to the thumb.
So play us a little chord progression with the pick, and then try it with the thumb.
Okay, so same thing. Let's see. So okay, same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they're both.
Get it.
I think hopefully those were close to.
They were. They were.
I don't know. Cool. I'm like, what did I just play again? But yeah, so it's a really different sound, but both are good. Both moods, both feelings. I think whenever you ask either or questions in this world, it's almost always both.
Right.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Should I do this or this? Yes, do them both. Do them all. Yeah, that's
So
great.
when you're playing Wes, what's one tune that always makes you smile when you play it?
Oh
I know
man.
most of them probably do, but what's just one? If you had to play like one right now, like what's your go-to?
Oh. Well, let's see. Okay, there might be when you say it makes me smile,
Yeah.
the first arrangement I did of West of anything of West was 4/6.
Oh,
It put in 5/4 time. So I wouldn't necessarily play that solo. Like if you're like, oh, I've got to play that. I
okay.
mean, but that is one that
Fair
I've
enough.
always like because the intro it reminds me of just writing it. Like back then I was studying it and I was like, wow, maybe I should put in five. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should write another song. And I landed. I was actually that's now that I think about it. I was trying to write another song inspired by 4/6. I remember that. I was like, oh, let me just see what I can. And then I was like, no, this is meant to be in five for me. So that was like, so that one gives me. I remember that when I play it, and it always feels a little good. And I usually do that intro up front, in front of the guitar, in front of the before then the band joins. And so that one always, I think that's a little kind of a sentimental favorite of all the West tunes
I
for
love
me.
it. It sounds so cool. So let me repeat that again. You said you do that little like intro first, right? Just
Oh,
you,
right.
that kind of solo,
And
and
then the
then they
band
start to
joins.
come in. They know when, obviously, they come in at a certain point. How long
Exactly.
is that solo? How many bars or so?
Oh, well, let's see. It could be, I think we made it four for the recording, but sometimes it could be maybe eight
Oh, that's not bad.
depends how long it settles in. And
Hmm.
then it's really, the thing about doing recordings for the record is I wanted to make them a little more radio friendly. It did well. It did really well on the radio. Just 'cause I wanted to keep, like we don't need a long extended intro because people
Right.
are flipping by. Just hit it. But if we're playing out, we might extend certain parts longer or shorter.
Well, even the listeners who listen to like blues and stuff will understand that because like Allman Brothers, sometimes their studio stuff was 3.5, 4 minutes, but then you go see them live and it's like 8 minutes and 12. It's like
Yes.
but for the
Let's keep
studio,
going.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. You have
yeah.
to do. I also, West Coast blues is one that's always because is really. Let's see. This one. Yeah, that one is like that
Yes, I
one.
love that one.
It's just so. It's for the people. You know, it's just for the
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
people.
It's
And
like
Wes
you
used
sing it.
that as an intro uh, for many of his concerts. Intro and sometimes an outro.
Oh,
Actually,
how cool is
if you
that?
look at the concert that I transcribed, the 625, he plays it during the opening credits, and then they play a version during the closing credits. Same. So it's like, yeah, Wes. It was one of his kind of I forgot what they call that, but just like a theme song or something.
Right. That's really cool. I love it. Now, real quick, one more question about guitars. So if you're touring right now, I know you went to Japan, you just said, but if you were to tour right now, say a longer tour, more than 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 months, how many
Mm,
guitars would you actually end up taking? Because if that's your main guitar and if something happens,
I know.
do you have another one? Do you have a second one that you'd like to play just as much or what?
We live dangerously on these jazz gigs because yeah, I mean we should be bringing out multiple guitars to every gig,
Mhm.
but we don't. I always just go with the one.
So
Yeah, isn't
even
that
on
fun?
tour, you just like Japan, you just took the one.
I took the one. I went to yeah. We this year we went to Korea actually. Korea and Japan. We went played in four different regions in Korea. We're doing really well in Korea. I don't know. I love first of all I love Korea. I love it, and they're getting into jazz in a big way. And there's oh my God the people and the food. We just have so much fun. And last fall, we went Korea again. Korea, we played in China at the Blue Note in Beijing and Japan. Year before that, we went to Istanbul. I'd never been there. We played their jazz clubs and we played some clubs in Greece. All of those, yeah, just the main guitar. I did for one of the tours. I
Interesting.
brought like a backup because they just advised it for one of the cities. They're like, listen, just bring.
What would be your backup right now if you needed like
Well,
you're coming to
I just
Tulsa, you need a
I
backup.
had
What do you need?
A Joe Pass Ibanez, just brought it. It was like, I mean, it is very inexpensive and it plays nicely. I do have an Epiphone Sheridan. That's my other axe that I don't bring out. It's 59. It's got a vibe. I don't play it as well as I'm just not as used to it as I am this guitar, but that's a really nice guitar. That's one of my
That's
own,
cool.
it's really, but yeah, I'm not bringing that out. I was actually it's a little bit of a mystery still. I haven't kind of cracked that nut about how to travel with the instruments. I know this is a big, you
Yeah,
know,
Adam Miller comes from Australia all the time to America, and he leans on friends here. He leaves amps, like 2 rock amps, at people's places in California and stuff, and that way he doesn't have to travel with so much.
I was thinking about that with something because in China now I'm friends with someone who's at the what's that guitar maker? There's the Chinese guitar maker. They make a guitar that's very much like this one. It's just bright. I'm blanking on the name. I'll think of it. Sorry, but and he works there. And they were like, "Hey, next time you come to China, we'll definitely give you a guitar for your China gigs." I'm like, "Well, could you ship one to Korea too? Because I would do that because the flying
Yeah,
is such a, if
very
you've got the
scary.
soft bag and the negotiation and now United, which I usually fly, a lot of the overheads are now cut in half, and then
Yep.
it's got to be
Can you
gate
check it
checked,
up
and whole
front? I mean,
that
yeah.
whole disaster,
You're
and
making
then
me nervous just talking about it. You give me
oh,
anxiety just talking
it's
about this.
this is it. And so I bought one of these I bought a Hoffy carbon fiber flight case
Okay,
and put it under,
cool.
and so that's great. That covers it. But then that's a whole thing. And sometimes they charge a ton. Like coming back from
Right.
Japan, I wanted to go under the plane with something, and they're like, "Oh, that's an extra $250, like just out of the blue." Like what? I'm like, I've flown your airline like 6 times, and you've never charged me. But Japan's pretty specific about rules.
Right.
They're not ones to be like, "Oh, it's okay."
Right.
And so it's just
You don't have much bargaining power when you're in
no,
that
no, and
situation.
I haven't cracked that nut quite, figuring out what's best. I think so sometimes I bring it on board, sometimes I put it underneath, and I'm definitely interested in playing local guitars at times. Although that's a little
Sure.
frustrating too because
Right.
it's not my guitar. How long is it gonna take to feel good on it?
Right, I get it. And so, like you were talking about amps a little bit ago, you have a bunch of like amps there, but you also had, let's see, you were talking about, I'm blanking. I have Fractal here.
Oh yeah, the
The
Kemper.
Kemper, I'm sorry. So yeah, so if you're at
Yeah,
the house, you're saying you're
yes,
using like the Kemper
that's
for
right.
some of your sounds right now compared to
Exactly. Yeah,
trying
I
to
mean, it's
mic up
going
amps.
straight in the Kemper. Kemper into the Focusrite into the MacBook here.
Did you grab a sound from one of your amps for the Kemper?
You, it was I downloaded it because the person who showed me how to even use a Kemper because it was on. I was just at a what did I do? Some sort of session, and I'd never played a Kemper, and I brought my rig, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to just try this? Because it'll be better for our recording." I'm like, "Okay,
Right.
sure. It's gonna sound terrible for jazz, but I'll try it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that was great." And so I bought it, and then that engineer, gave me a
Cool.
bunch of sounds, and I think I'm using it's a George Benson inspired one,
Nice. I
and
like it,
so
and it sounds great on here. So I know some people might wonder that, while they're watching the video, like, what's he
yeah,
playing on? It sounds cool, but that's actually coming through the Kemper.
the Kemper, isn't that something? Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
well,
All right, so now
technology.
as we're starting to wrap things up here, what's your plans for the future? So you have any new albums on the horizon? New book? Obviously teaching. You might have a
Yes.
lot of irons in the fire, so go ahead and let us know like
There,
what's going
there
on.
are a lot. So definitely, so one more for sure, one more record inspired by Wes because there's so much material, and also it's a great project, and I would love to get just one more record. I mean, maybe more, but for sure one more. For sure one more set
Different
of
group of players for this one, or would
same
you
same
keep kind of the
players
same?
mostly. Maybe a little adjusting on some of the horns, but as we figure out who fits each song best. But the core, yeah, the same. Um, and then also just this similar concept where I'm taking, arranging, kind of bringing our personality, adding to, inspired by Wes, and trying to create something to honor him, but also to inspire us, taking that. So one more record like that. The band I've been touring with is actually my organ trio. And we also sometimes play quartet, but obviously it's much easier to travel as a trio. And but yeah, so that band needs to record as well because that's the song. That's the song when we're touring, when we were in Asia, especially playing a lot of original music, and that I've never recorded. So that's definitely on the horizon, trying to figure out how best to get that down and what order to do that. So it's probably finish these West arrangements for the another one, then the other recording. Not another book right now, although I'm almost sold out of the hard copies of that book, and so it's going to have to go to an ebook eventually. But that's a little bit of a project, and when I do that, to make it an ebook. I'm going to, go through it again, revamp it. So that's a project. There'll be, because my ears are better now than they were. There are a few of those judgment calls I would do different. I'd write differently now. A couple mistakes. I'm not saying it's full of riddled mistakes, but I'm human, and so I like to fix the mistakes that are there for
Tighten up the shot group a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
and then the teaching. The teaching's going great. I'm kind of full up, but I'm happy. I'm trying to, I want to share this music with all the people. I teach at a small college here in Chicago, north of the city. I do teach privately for some students on Zoom. I've been doing some master classes with. Do you know Jazz Memes? The page, the Instagram page. It's a pretty.
I will now. I'm looking now.
It's a big page. It's great. It's hilarious.
Get on it.
Two guys run it. They're two good guys, and one of them they're two brothers, and one runs. He's a guitarist, and he runs something called the Chase Guitar Academy. And so I've been putting up master classes there for his Chase Guitar Academy, and I like that. If anyone wants to check that out, there's that. You can also generally you have to pay for those, but there's a free trial through my. We're talking about that Tim Fitzgerald music link tree. Yeah, you can scroll on that link and go to the master classes, and I've got master classes.
If you send me that link tree, I'll just put it in the notes and stuff.
Oh,
if
great.
people
Okay.
want to be able to click on it or something to see what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm teaching we're currently doing a block on Barry Harris, who is one of my heroes, about and applying some of his exercises and his concepts, how it can do it on guitar. So
and if somebody was visiting Chicago, like my wife's coming this weekend,
yes.
This will air after the marathon. Right. Hopefully she did a good job at Chicago Marathon. But
yes.
But is there do you have a standing gig somewhere or somewhere people can go if they end up in Chicago?
Oh, yeah. Sure, I'm playing. So hopefully the schedule's up on the website. But also Wednesday nights I'm at a small club in Rogers Park called Le Piano. Strange name, but Le Piano. I'm there on Wednesdays. But I play at the Green Mill. Play occasionally at the Jazz Showcase. We're playing a lot of places, and so there's always something going on. Yes, there's always something to come here. Usually right in the city, but sometimes in the burbs. In Oak or in Berwyn, there's a place called Fitzgerald's, no relation. I like to play there. There's just a lot. There's a whole circuit of places. And if you're coming to Chicago, absolutely look me up. And even if I'm not playing on a certain given night, I'm always happy to direct you to something that
awesome.
I think you'd like. Yeah, absolutely, because it's a great town for music, for jazz. So I mean, nothing's perfect, but we have a nice community here, and I'm happy to share that with anyone that wants to come.
I love it. I think it's great. When I was there, we saw some jazz guys in our hotel. So we were
no
in a
kidding.
really nice hotel. Yeah, I can't remember now. It was about 7 years ago when I was there at this particular one. It wasn't far from Buddy Guy's band, House of Blues thing. It was right around the corner from it, actually, more towards the water. And and it was like presidents had stayed there and all this kind of thing. And they had the jazz musicians playing on the first floor, and I was just like, oh man,
great. Was it maybe the Peninsula? I'm not sure.
Maybe it was it's an old building, but the point is like the guys are really killing it. And I just kept going down every night and seeing all these guys play, and then
that's wonderful.
And then you got Buddy Guy's place, and I'm like, oh man, there's so much over there. I love it. All right, before we wrap up now, this is a quick fire round.
Oh, I like it. Here, put the guitar down.
Go ahead. Yeah, take the guitar off. All right, so you just got to shoot from the hip and just give me an answer. You're a teacher, so right? Get warmed up. All right. Being honest, how many thumb blisters have you gotten in the name of research?
Ever?
doing all your Wes.
So many. Oh my God. I don't know. 40. I don't know. We did since I started a lot. Yeah.
You've had a lot of them. All right.
Not anymore, thankfully.
That's great. You built it up. So imagine Wes in 2025, right? Would he be using a fractal, Kemper, or still plugging straight into a polytone?
I think he's plugging in. I think he's plugging straight in, but it's going to be, once in a while, a couple times he put effects on his guitar, a couple times at the amp. It happened a couple times in his, that's my dog, in his entire recorded output. There are a couple times. So he was open to it. Do
you think he would use a fractal maybe if he jumped into a studio or something with you? You think he'd be open for that?
I think he's a plug and go. I think he's going to have a boutique, beautiful amp. and
All
just his
right. If
guitar.
Wes Montgomery could jam with any modern artist, who would surprise us the most?
God, he'd probably play some really tender, something tender with a singer. That could be the most surprising thing.
Ooh, so like a cool singer of some type or something,
Someone, yeah, some beautiful, like
Oh,
I don't know, young singer.
like a bluesy kind of singer or something
Yeah,
of that
Samara Joy
nature.
maybe is a great young singer, and he might
Yeah.
just play the most beautiful stuff you've ever heard behind her.
So it wouldn't be Taylor Swift?
I mean,
Maybe.
I actually don't know her music that well. I
I
know
mean,
she's so important, but I don't know the songs.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, what's the most un-West thing a guitarist can do?
Well, that would be the most unwise thing.
Yes.
Maybe work out a solo and play it exactly the same way every time.
Oh, good one. I like it. I like it. All right. If you could time travel and play one gig, just one with Wes, what song are you picking, and are you brave enough to solo first?
Okay, first of all, I better solo first.
Oh,
You know what I mean? You
yes.
cannot follow that. So yeah, thank you, Wes. I'll go first, and he can hit cleanup. You know, I'll play. We'll get the nice, polite applause, and then bring on yes.
What song would it be?
Oh, maybe I'd call of his tunes. I mean, I love maybe I'd call
Got
Jingles.
one. Got one
Jingles.
shot.
Maybe Jingles. Well, no,
Okay.
no, 4-on-6. We'll say 4-on-6, West Coast Blues, then Jingles as a third choice.
If you got your one song, you'd just be, which would it be then?
Well, here's the question. It's very context like what song have they just played before I play? Because if they play a burner, or if they're playing something a medium swinger, I'm not necessarily going to call it medium swinger. I want something contrasting, fresh to the ears.
You just walk right in, and he's got his band, and he says, "What do you want to play?"
First song, 4-on-6.
We're on 6. There
Let's
it
do
is.
it. Let's do it.
All right,
Sentimental
now-
favorite.
Now, which would you rather do? Would you rather jam with Wes for 5 minutes or talk with him for an hour?
Oh, talk. Come on, let's talk. Yeah, I want to know him. I want to know him. He's such a great guy. Everyone talks about how beautiful he is as a human being.
Amen. I
You know,
love
and
it.
I just yeah, and there'll be a chance for more to show more. I think show more respect in an hour of talking. I mean, I want to play. Of course, I want to play. Oh my God, I want to play with him.
course.
But I mean, I just want to. It's not like it's almost like, oh, let me show you me, Wes. I mean, I want to do that to a certain extent, but I also want to know him.
Right.
I want
I
to know
like
him, and I
that.
want to
You're
know
looking
him.
for more of that connection then. I love it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So Desert Island West album. Only one. You got to take
Come
one.
on, this is
Yeah, come on.
brutal.
I know it's brutal. So you just got one.
Do I go sentimental favorite or what I think is the best?
That's the question.
My sentimental favorite is the incredible jazz guitar of Wes Montgomery, because that was my first. So I may go with that because I'm a bit of a sentimental guy in general.
I like it. I like it. Now let's narrow it down a little bit more. Desert Island West song. You only get one song you got to listen to.
What is the one song?
Indefinitely. Indefinitely.
Until I'm rescued?
Yeah.
This is a lot. That's a big. Well,
Stretching your soul.
one song. So I'm thinking about something that's very long, like on maybe something like on No Blues from Smoking at the Half Note, because it's just so many choruses of interest, so much to sit there and study and groove with.
There you go. You're picking something
Boy.
from that.
Boy, that's hard. These are hard. That's a hard question. Okay. And are these binding?
No.
Are these binding questions? Can
they're
I- if I
fluid. We'll go check back in a year and see if it changes.
Well, if I'm on that island, I don't know. Like, I mean,
3-hour tour. All right. So you're not done with the Desert Island now. It's a Desert Island non-West album.
oh yeah. I mean, of course we've got Love Supreme by Coltrane. That's kind of hard to do anything else. Talk about. And I think I might need that spiritual transcendence if I'm solo on an island. I might
Carry
need to
on.
connect, with something. Also, Coltrane. I love the record Crescent, which came not long before Love Supreme, and kind of an underrated record, I think, because the playing is just incredible. It's got one track in the middle which seems to kind of pull out of the vibe, but I still love it. But maybe Crescent is up there. I mean, we're talking songs in the key of life. We're talking, it's just talking book aloud. Or any of those, the 4 records before from Stevie Records before songs in the key of life. So talking book, Intervisions, fulfillingness, and music in my mind. Those all speak to me very, very
Awesome.
deeply. Those
I
are
love
the
it. Little insight into this, and people can look these all up now.
Oh
I
yeah.
love it.
So,
All right, I got one more question for you. This is the
sure.
big question of the day. You ready for this? Here
Okay,
it
I'm
comes.
ready.
Is jazz basically rock music with more homework?
Wow, that's wow.
Come on. Come on. You got to answer
Oh
yes or
man.
no.
Homework. I'm gonna say no, not exactly. No,
Okay.
come on.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I
Well,
mean,
look.
it's not. Boy, homework's got that all that. It's got such a pejorative, like oh, it's a chore. I got to do that.
You
It's got
teach,
work in the title.
Got
I
work in
mean,
the time.
it's true that there's a certain amount of work. You know that the work. And sometimes with some things, the work gives value. You know,
Yes.
if something's really easy, sometimes it's less valuable to someone where they have to
Yes.
work at it, and sometimes the late starters are really love it even more because they had to work so hard late as opposed to doing the work early. But every jazz musician I know, every great musician I know of any style has put in incredible amounts of work. So I don't think that's exclusive
Right.
to the jazz world.
I love
You
it.
know.
I love
Yeah.
it. Well, Tim, as we're wrapping up here, I just want to tell everybody to please subscribe, hit the like, leave a comment, share. If anybody has any questions for Mr. Tim here, I will pass it on
Yes.
to him and let him know. And Tim, let's review where's the best place to find you then on the socials.
Sure. Anything Tim Fitzgerald music. So Instagram, Tim Fitzgerald music, YouTube for the shorts, similar. TikTok is on there, and the website timfitzgeraldmusic.com. And I'll send you the link tree, which I think is just linktree dot whatever Tim Fitzgerald music,
Sure.
but I'll send that. So it's a hopefully you can get to any whatever your preferred platform is. You can reach me through those.
And then the
Like,
book
that
is
includes
available through what, Amazon and all those kind of things. That's
yeah.
where I found it,
Actually, the
right?
best place it is through Amazon, although I don't think I'm going to keep it up on Amazon for much longer because I'm just running low on supply. Would be buying from the website would be the best from timfitzgeraldmusic.com. The same thing for the we didn't even talk about the record, but the record inspired by with the soleis and all. And that record did really well on the charts on the jazz. Now remember jazz charts are nothing like rock charts in terms of volume, but we were on the charts for 20 or 21 straight weeks. So got some great play, opened up some doors. That's how we got to Asia
Do you have anything like on vinyl at all in case, because there are people out there that love vinyl.
I think we'll when the next one comes out, we'll do vinyl. We'll probably do vinyl for the first as well, just because there's been so much interest in the vinyl. We did disc, we did the streaming, of course. Best place to stream is Bandcamp, but it's also and you can stream anywhere. But Bandcamp's kind of extra special for streaming, and
It is.
but really anywhere, stream anywhere, and also those discs are available for those who do that. But yeah, stream
If
the
I'm listening to vinyl, I more often want to hear jazz.
yeah.
It's just my
I hear
favorite
you.
on vinyl, unless it's a soft singer-songwriter like Simon and Garfunkel or something, you know.
Love that too.
I
I love
mean,
Paul Simon. Yeah.
something like that. But that's just me, you know. So for my vinyl, I like the jazz and Christmas
Yeah.
jazz and all that kind of stuff too on vinyl.
Okay,
I love
cool.
it. You got to get that lo-fi, going with
Part
the
of it. It's
jazz.
part of the experience. There's also something kind of meditative about taking it out and like dropping the needle and that moment of hesitate or anticipation before it starts, and then holding a record. Yeah, what a concept.
So Tim, I want to say thanks for being on the show. It's
Thanks
been
for having me. This is
amazing. Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank
And
you.
would you do me a favor? Would you be able to put that guitar back on and play us out?